Reppin' Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. What's up, everyone? It's time for the Brotherly Birds Breakdown free agency preview episode. We're the Montgomery Brothers. I'm Jim.
I'm Kyle. What's going on?
What's up, brother?
Not much, man. Not much. It's
all right.
Good to be back. Good to be back.
It is. It is.
We have a lot to talk about. You know, we do have a lot to talk about. A lot of rumors, nothing concrete, but a lot of rumors are floating around. You know, and obviously let's get right into it. And the big news is that the New England Patriots have decided and informed Stephon Diggs that his services are no longer needed, which then opens the door for the rumors to ramp up that they're thinking about trading for A.J. Brown. Look, I'm gonna say this. He has done great things in Philadelphia for his 4 years. Has he acted like a diva over the last year and a half? Sure, but any star wide receiver that's worth anything. You look at T.O., you look at Randy Moss, you look at Michael Irvin, you even hear stories about Jerry Rice back in the day being a diva, right? So
there's no social media back then, though.
Correct. So I guarantee you it would have been a different animal if Jerry Rice was doing what he was doing then, now, right? So let's not act like everybody was squeaky clean. It is what it is. But I think Howie's doing the right thing right now. And he's like, this is my asking price. I want the earth, the moon, and the stars. And if you can't do that, no deal. I'm not even answering the phone.
Don't call.
Right. So I think that's a smart move.
No, and I agree 100%. I talked about this a couple weeks ago when the first round of rumors started. What was it? Who sang that song, the rumor song from like the 80s?
Rumor has it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget. I know
Everybody's
what you're talking
talking.
about.
Whatever. I'm not going to. But so perfect example. I won't even give the story because I said, you know how they call your house or call you and say, we're interested in buying your house. And I always ask them, well, what are you willing to offer me? Like, I'm not looking to sell my house, but if you give me an offer. But today, so I had my truck over at Bergey's, and we're not getting paid for that, but we should. But after I dropped it off last night, I got a text message from one of the sales reps at like 7:30 this morning saying, hey, would you be interested in selling your F-150 that you just dropped off for service? It's truck month. We're the resale value and blah, 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 blah. Would you be interested in hearing? I was like, honestly, I'm not looking to sell it, but sure. What do you got? They sent me over a thing. I'm like, wow, that's a lot more than what I thought for a 7-year-old truck. And actually a 9-year-old truck now. But I was like, well, how much is a new one? And he was going through, with financing and this. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'm not trying to have a car payment, but I'd listened. And I think Howie would be an idiot not to listen to offers. I mean, if somebody's going to come in and say, I'll give you 2 first-round picks and a second next year, you're an idiot not to take that. Now, is somebody going to offer that? Probably not. But
well, here's my take on it too with New England. If they offer you a first-round pick, it's the 31st pick. So it's essentially a second-round pick. So like we gotta make sure that if you're getting a first round pick, it's first round value as well. Like it's not just a first round pick for the name first round pick. You know what I mean? So like, you know, you can go back in time and say, oh, Lamar Jackson, he was a first round pick. Yeah, but he was a 32nd pick. He was essentially the first pick in the second round. Like
Yeah.
let's just call it what it is, right? So I to me, starting off with that, AJ Brown is worth more than the 31st pick in the draft, in my opinion. When he's going to be their number one, like he's obviously, and this is where you have to do things from an area of strength. Like he's filling a need for them, right? So
Yes.
if you need him, you need to pony up. You need to give us what he's worth. And yeah, you're probably going to have to overpay for him. And Howie needs to do it smartly though, because if he doesn't trade him and all these rumors are flying around and it gets back to AJ, which it obviously has because they said that his agents at the combine just kind of putting feelers out there. But like if nothing happens, then you have a potential of a Nick Castellanos situation where it's like, we tried to trade you, we tried to put you in a different location, don't come to camp, and then you have a worse situation. It's going to be even
Right.
uglier, and then you're going to get pennies on the dollar for him. So, the draft this year is receiver heavy. There's a lot of good receivers in there. So, from an Eagles standpoint, if you're going to move on and go younger, perfect time to do it. You just have to do it
Yes.
and strike while the iron's hot, so to speak. Use that cliche and trade him to the right person in the AFC, whether it's Denver or New England, and make sure you get the draft capital back that you deserve.
No, I don't disagree, but my thing with his agent is he would be an idiot not shopping AJ around. Like, truthfully, Jalen's agent should be calling Cincinnati or some of these teams that maybe not Cincinnati. It's a bad example unless we're able to get Joe Burrow in return for him. But like, you got to put yourself like it. This isn't the '80s NFL where guys stay with the team their entire career. Like, you're trying to
Right.
put your client in the best position, so he should be shopping him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, like you said with Howie, the agent would be dumb not to do that. And I can't say for sure that Howie would have gave them full permission to seek a trade, but at the same time, he probably did have a conversation with him. Like, go ahead, go ahead, find out what he's worth, and see what you can gauge from the market
Right.
value, and see what teams are interested, and then that gives Howie a little more arsenal to go. All right, I know these four teams are interested in AJ. Let me focus on them. Look at their
Let's see
draft
what they
capital
got.
and exactly, and see where exactly I want to play this game at.
But I also think too for Howie, he's in a good spot because he can say, "Look, man, we value you this much that this is what we've turned down. We want you here." So I mean, it's all a game. Like I think,
100%.
but I think everybody should be playing the game. It's just the way the NFL is right now.
Yeah, I mean, you and I got introduced to the business side of things in this sport and with our teams way back in the early '90s when God led Reggie White to Green Bay, and the rumor was that the Eagles didn't even offer him a contract. That's why he went to Green Bay. Now, social media isn't what like. There was no social media back then, so the only thing you could take was whatever the paper said or whatever the news outlet said.
Yes,
That's the only thing you could take. I highly doubt that the Eagles didn't offer him something, but it was probably a low ball type of contract and thought that they would give him like the hometown discount type thing, right? That's probably what it was. But that's when you and I got introduced to the business side of things because Reggie White was an Eagle. Like he was an absolute Eagle. We thought for sure he was going to be there forever,
he should have
and he
been.
wasn't. And he wasn't, right? So that's when we knew it was a business. And then the same thing happened with Randall. Randall decided to leave. Seeing Randall wear that star on his helmet for that one season, I think it was. I think it was one season, right?
It was. But
That
that was near
that
the end
crushed
of
us.
his career. So
It was.
he actually
It was.
he sat out a year, and I think Jeffrey Lurie kind of forced him out too. I think Randall thought he was coming back, but
Yeah.
still, that whole time, Keith Jackson gone, Seth Joyner gone, Clyde
Right.
Simmons gone, Keith Byers gone,
Yep.
Eric Allen.
Yep.
Like
Gone. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's what showed us it was a business, right? I mean, even talking about the Sixers when they traded Barkley, I mean, right then and there we were like, okay,
yeah,
like here it is, right? So it is a business first, and I think we've been smart enough to understand that. And even the whole, you go back to what, 2012 or 13 when they let Dawkins go to Denver. When they didn't re-sign him, like that crushed a lot of us. But at the same time, you looked at it from a business standpoint, it made sense now looking back on it. But at the
Oh,
same time, he was a Pro
100%.
Bowler, and he was a Pro Bowler in Denver, so he was still putting up the quality talent. But we couldn't afford to pay him what he was getting. You know what I mean? So I think that's where they're at right now. And like I told you before, and I will die on this hill, and I've said it numerous times. I really think Jeffrey Lurie looked at his sheet at the end of the year and said, "We have the most expensive offense in the league, and we're putting up 20 points a game. We can't do that. We can't do that." So Jalen's going to have to restructure his contract, and then the next highest paid guy on the offensive side from a weapon standpoint is AJ.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
I
where
don't
we're
know.
at. That's
Yeah.
where we're at.
And I mean, and I do think there's some truth to that. And I mean, I think I don't want to wrap up AJ yet, but I mean, we'll talk about this too. If you look at what they're doing coaching wise on the offensive side of the ball, I think that 100% somewhere along the line, Jeffrey was like, things got to change. And
Hmm.
this is not acceptable. This is not what I want. And everything they've done so far this offseason has proven and fallen in line with that.
Yeah, well, and that's the sad part because I think with this offensive regime that came in, I think AJ could be very valuable in this offense. I really do think that.
Yes.
But we may never know. We may never know what that's like, or this could all just be a facade to see what's out there. And look, if somebody screws around and does offer like a first round this year, first round next year, and like a fifth round, maybe Howie does pull the trigger on it and gets younger in the draft. I don't know. But it is going to be interesting to see how they make this work with the coaching changes and all that stuff. Because I highly doubt any of these offensive minded guys that came into it was like, you know what, AJ just doesn't fit in my offense.
Yeah.
Like I find that very hard to believe. So I highly doubt that that's the case. But I did see something interesting that if and this is kind of like twofold. If the Eagles do move off of AJ, they're being linked to potentially signing Mike Evans. And I'm like, well, what sense does that make? Number one. And number two, if Mike Evans said he wants to come back for another year and you're the Tampa Bay Bucks, if you don't re-sign him for 1 year, you're an absolute disgrace of an organization. An
Right.
absolute disgrace. Like, let the dude finish his career. I saw this stat, and I don't know if you saw it, you probably did. Like, Mike Evans had 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons, match Jerry Rice, right? Same guy. Jerry Rice is so far ahead with being the GOAT that Mike Evans is Justin Jefferson's career receiving yards away from tying Jerry Rice in
Mhm.
receiving yards. That's a
It's
that's a whole nother potential Hall of Famer's career
career.
that you have to get to in order to get to Jerry Rice. So when we talk about goats in other sports, like the goat debate in basketball, MJ, LeBron, Kobe, Wilt, all those guys, there's no debate when it comes to receivers in football. It's
Not
Jerry
even a little
Rice,
bit.
and then you go down to Randy Moss and T.O. at 2 and 3, and then it's
Yeah.
like another layer after that. But that's where we're at. You know what I mean? But like I saw that stat and I was like, Jesus,
I didn't
that's
see that
insane.
one, but that's insane. And then you wonder why he was a diva.
Yeah, exactly, because he was so good, right? But yeah, I saw them linked to Mike Evans, and I'm like, that just sounds disastrous written
That
all over it.
yeah, that's to me is up there with the whole dream team and
Yeah,
DeMarco Murray. Like that would
yeah.
be that type of sign. And I mean, it doesn't. You're not upgrading from AJ Brown by trading him and bringing in Mike Evans for a
And you're
year.
not really saving money because
No.
Mike Evans is going to command like probably 18 million a year because of his stature and like everything.
Yeah.
And he somebody will pay it, but the Eagles shouldn't be that team. They
No.
should definitely
We
not
have
be that team.
way too many other needs to pay that.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
So gut feeling is AJ getting traded? I personally, I don't think so. I don't think anybody's going to offer what Howie wants, rightfully so. And I mean, if anybody's going to be able to work the cap, like it would be Howie. Like he's not going to get flat out released. But I think my gut feeling is they're. I don't think they would turn a trade down if they got what they want, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I my heart of hearts right now, my gut feeling is that he does not get traded, and it's because of the asking price, and I don't think Howie's budging up for that. I don't think because like he's under contract. We don't have to trade him. Like
Right.
I understand everybody, and like there's all this perception out there that he's so disgruntled and everything like that, and then you can argue that everybody's talking about how good the relationship is. Nick Sirianni came on and said his relationship with AJ. AJ said the same thing. AJ said Philly's my home. Look, I get it. You can spin that any way you want. Like you can say, "Oh, this is what he means," and then you can also say, well, he's just trying to, they're all trying to put a positive spin on it so it doesn't seem like he's negative and all that stuff. I get it from both sides. I see it. But I just don't think Howie being the businessman that he is and being such a good GM, I don't think he's going to give him up for pennies on the dollar to an AFC team that they could potentially have to play in the Super Bowl.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, I don't see that happening. Having said that, somebody may get desperate enough, and it may be the Broncos or the Patriots that gets desperate enough to offer him what he wants.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised, but like, I don't think my gut is telling me no. But then nobody thought Sam Bradford would go for a number one pick, and look
It's
how that
true.
worked out.
Well, I mean, they weren't paying that for Sam Bradford. They were paying that for the sleeves. Let's be honest. Let's be real. It was all
Sammy
for the
sleeves.
sleeves. Sammy sleeves.
Oh, but so we'll get into the. I want to get into the media stuff, but we mentioned like the last time we were on, Sean Mannion was just hired as the offensive coordinator. Josh Grizzard was just brought in. They've added a lot of other cooks in that kitchen since then. Mahaffrey, they got their new offensive line coach. They just brought in Gerard Johnson this past week, former Eagles quarterback, by the way.
There you
Um,
go.
I guess, and everybody's down on that, and everybody's saying, well, they're bringing in all these guys who were interviewed for the offensive coordinator position, and it's almost like sloppy seconds. They couldn't do this. I personally think it's a good thing because you saw what they had to offer through the interview process. Obviously, all of these guys had the second interview, so there was enough there to like that you brought them back. And I mean, obviously, the Eagles are buying what these guys are selling, or vice versa, however you want to word it. I personally think I go back to, if you remember hearing the interviews when Andy Reid and John Gruden were on the same staff underneath. Why can't I think of his name now? Mike
Holmgren. Mike
Holmgren,
Holmgren. Yeah.
and they said Andy Reid and John Gruden would say they would just stay up late and just create ridiculous plays that were just so ridiculous that they would work. And Mike Holmgren was like, let's run this play. Let's run this play.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're going to see here. I don't see it being a negative at all, where somebody's going to go to Nick Sirianni and be like, well, Sean Mannion's not doing this. Like, I don't see that at all. I see it as we got five guys in here. Let's cook something up.
Well, and the thing I like about it, and it's I'm with you on that, and it's kind of like giving me hope and giving me optimism over the last couple of weeks. They all have chips on their shoulder, right? They all have something to
Mm-hmm.
prove because not technically like they got looked over, I guess if you want to say that, right? So they got looked over, so they got something to prove, and it's a proven track record in Philadelphia that if you do well, you're probably going to get a coaching opportunity somewhere else, right? You're going to get a promotional
Yeah.
coaching opportunity somewhere else. So, you know, because and we'll talk about the media, but they can make or break you, right? So if you do positive things, they'll make you. You do negative things, they'll break you, right? So, and I like the staff that they put together. To be honest with you, it's very eclectic. It's young. It seems like they're football minded folks. Like they're I don't want to call them brilliant minds, but like that's kind of what it seems like.
They could
Um,
be.
they could be. They could be. And look, I know that's what everybody, gets enamored with, like, "Oh, it came from the McVay coaching tree. They're a Sean McVay kinda guy. They're a Shanahan kinda guy." Yeah, I don't care about that. I really don't.
No,
I don't care about that. Can you can you draw up plays, and do you understand football? That's it. If you understand football, and, like, that's why everybody, like, knocks on Sirianni and says, "Oh, he's a big goofball. He's this and that." Sirianni understands football. He's probably forgotten more about football than some of us will ever know in our life. He gets the game of
exactly.
football, and he's a player's coach. Like, he gets the players because he was a player, right? So that's what I like about it, and that's why he will always have a soft spot for me when it comes to that, because, like, I get it, man. Like, you're emotional up on the podium, like, you're emotional in those post game interviews. You're emotional about and on the sidelines, like, because you want to win. You're passionate, right? So that's what I like about it. And I think he has the way he built this staff with all these guys there. I think they told him, your ass is on the line. You better get it together because you're on the hot seat next year if we don't
Right.
perform like what we need to. And he went out, whether it was all him that formed this staff or he had Howie's input, whatever happened. I like what they put together. I really do. I like what they put together. I'm excited to see how it works within this offense.
No, 100%. And I think too, since Sirianni's really been here, like the Eagles have always, and we've talked about this so many times on this pod, but they're always sort of ahead of the curve. They're like 2 steps ahead. They kind Howie and whoever he has in the front office can see what's coming down the road. I think with going back to Brian Johnson, I mean, Kellen Moore was an established guy, and I think they needed to have an established guy after the 23 season. So that
Mhm.
was a safe pick. But they haven't been afraid to go out and take these chances. And I think if it was just Sean Mannion with all of the previous assistant coaches, then I'm like, all right. But I'm sure Mannion had a say in Grizzard and all these guys coming in saying, yeah, I've worked with him here. Or I like his philosophy on this. So I think what we might be seeing is the you mentioned like the Shanahan coaching tree, and I think you might be seeing this has the potential with the way it's set up that people could be talking about the Sirianni disciples and
Yeah,
coaching trees.
could be. And look, I mean, can you name the last star quarterback that became a NFL head coach and was good at it? Star quarterback.
Star quarterback. I don't know if there's ever been one.
Correct. But you know what there has been? A bunch of backup quarterbacks that have
Yes.
been great NFL coaches, right? And great offensive line or offensive coordinators, you know, so, and like offensive linemen become offensive line coaches, like like not the studs, not the Hall of Famers, but the guys that watch the game and learn it and have to study the playbook a lot harder to try to get on the field, right? They don't have the
Yep.
God given talent, but they have it up here. That's what this staff is. This staff is a whole bunch of those guys that have a chip on their shoulder and have something to prove. And I'm excited for it, man, because I think they're going to be able to probably get the most out of the players that are going to be on this offense, and hopefully it unleashes something in Jalen. I'm sure that there's been conversations with Jalen along this time too with these coaching staffs, and I'm sure Nick's had a conversation. Howie's probably had a conversation. Hell, I wouldn't even doubt if Jeffrey didn't have a conversation with Jalen and "You said you want to do anything it takes to win. Learn this new scheme, learn everything about it. And if they ask you to run, God damn it, you run."
Right. And I think even going back to when they hired him, I don't think that he was a Kevin Patullo fan at all. And I mean, he said the right things. He didn't say, but you could tell. And like Jalen obviously isn't going to be doing backflips over anything. I mean, guy won the Super Bowl MVP and was just like, okay.
Yep, yep,
But you could kind of just tell, like, well, that was the decision that was made. Like, just going, and he never, like, AJ flat out was like, "Oh, I love KP." I don't think I ever heard Jalen say, "I love KP." He was just like, "This is what we're run," you know what I mean? Like, so
He never
I
said
think
KP. He called him the
yeah.
offensive coordinator. Like, he never called him by
Well,
name.
that's a Jordan move, though. If
Correct.
Jordan didn't like if Jordan didn't like you, he would
We call you the
say
coach.
stuff like that.
Or he'd say, "Yep,
Yeah.
yep." So, you know, that was always telling to me when he would be like, "Well, the offensive coordinator or the coaches called this." Like, he would never say KP. He would say the coaches called this. Like, I've heard him say
Yes.
KP a couple of times, but, like, you could tell if he was pissed off about something, he would be like, "Well, the coaches
Right.
or they decided to do this." So,
Yeah.
you know.
But so Landon Dickerson are coming back. I think that's huge for the offensive line room. We'll get
Sure.
into the free agency here in a minute, but what do you think Lane's season is going to? I mean, both of them actually coming off very bad injuries, and
I mean, they got the whole offseason to heal up. That's the cool thing. And I mean, I hate to say it like that, but they didn't have an additional 4 to 5 weeks of playing,
right,
and preparing and doing all that stuff. So they started their off season a little early. I mean, you could tell Lane was not the same with the Liz Frank. So given that time to heal, Landon with whatever was ailing him, whether it was the knee, whether it was the back, whether who knows what it was at that point.
all
You
of
know what I
it.
mean? All of it. So even Cam Jurgens giving him time to heal and get his back right. I think I'm excited that they're both coming back. I kind of figured that they would, because we both said that we saw Lane posting videos of working out with Seth Rollins and going, dude, he's an animal right now. Like he's an
He
absolute
is.
beast, and he's not ready to step away. He's not ready to step away.
No, and I think that's the difference between because I've heard some people comparing him like entering the Jason Peters portion of his career. God, I love Jason Peters. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, look at the two of them standing next to each other. They're two different animals. Like Lane is probably in better shape than a lot of the offensive linemen that are 10 years younger than him in the league.
Well, I mean, when Lane's healthy, he's still top 3 tackles in the league,
Yeah,
and there's no doubt about that. Nobody can dispute that. When he's healthy, he's still a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. Jason Peters, in this point of his career, wasn't. You know what I mean? He was serviceable, but he wasn't a Pro
no,
Bowl kind of guy. So or All Pro, I should say, because Pro Bowls obviously don't matter. Thanks a lot, Shador Sanders. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for them to come back. It'll be interesting. Same thing with you got Mylata, you got Cam Jurgens, you got Landon Dickerson, and you got Lane. They're all going to be back, but they're all going to be back for the first time without Jeff Stoutland as their offensive line coach. So it's good that they're all coming back though, and they're all dealing with it together, which is awesome. That
yes.
was kind of what I was hoping for. You know?
No, I agree, but I think too, Lane coming back, I think that sends a message. Like I can almost guarantee you, if Lane retired, I don't know if we saw Landon coming back either. But I think Lane saying, "I'm excited to work with this guy." I think that to me is true leadership. But he's setting the message, setting the tone that all right, we got something good here. Let's see what we
Yeah.
got.
Yep. Yep. And it sends a message to Saquon. It sends a message to Jalen, like, hey, we're all still in this. We're in this together.
Yeah.
We're not abandoning you. It sends a message to Nick too, like, hey, we're here for you, coach. Like we're all coming back. We're all ready to run this back and make the changes and make the improvements that we need to do. Which look, I just hope that they come back healthy and that they can play a full
Yes.
year. Like I don't want them to play like the 3 games, take 3 games off because of this nagging injury and all that stuff. Because then, it's kind of what the Eagles did last year. I mean, they kind of based it around certain people, and then those people get hurt, and then they don't have backup plans. So, if they are going to, hopefully Howie looks at that, even though Lane and Landon are coming back, he adds some depth behind them just in case. You know.
Yeah. No, and he has to. But Chris Cooper might be the happiest man in Philadelphia once he heard those two were coming back.
Oh, hands down, absolutely.
Secretly, he's like, yes.
Yeah, I knew it all along. I knew it all along.
He's like, phew.
Yeah.
So a lot of the talk with the too many cooks in the kitchen. What are they doing? The this, that, and the other. He's going over the top. AJ's being traded. AJ's not being traded. AJ's happy. AJ's not being happy. How much of this is true and how much, and I'm throwing the national media in there too, because you hear conflicting reports from the ESPN, the NFL network guys about the AJ Brown situation. How much of this is just and pretty much digging our grave right now that we're never going to get a mainstream job, but I think I'm okay with that. How much is that just them manufacturing stories to get clicks? Because I felt like there for a couple weeks, every day, AJ's already gone. AJ's not going anywhere the next day. And then AJ's not happy about this. And then AJ comes out and says, I love Philadelphia. That's my home. Like,
Yep.
what you like,
Yep.
what's going on?
So, I mean, and I don't do enough media research, but I'm sure there's a way that you can word things so it doesn't come off as slander, right? So you never like even like Acho on his podcast and a lot of these guys on their podcasts and like all this stuff. You hear them say, "Well, my sources say this." Well, they don't have to say who their sources are.
Right.
So chances are it's all hearsay. Like, it could have been a text from a buddy that said, "You know what I think might happen?" And then they're like, "Oh, well, my sources say this." Like, I'm gonna start sending you a text for your other podcast, and then you can be like, "Oh, breaking news. My sources told me
My
that this is
sources
gonna
say.
happen." Right. And that's how it can be. And that's what I think is happening with a lot of this stuff, where it's a slow media day. There's not a lot going on. You know, the Sixers are losing by 40 at home. The Phillies are doing what they knew. Like the Flyers were in a playoff position. Now they're like closer to last place in the league than they are to playoff contention. So like there's not a lot of good things going on in Philadelphia right
No.
now.
Plus, it was the
So
Olympic break.
right. So let's
The Big
let's
Five teams
fabricate a
suck.
story. They do. Villanova is what it is. But they're not a Philly school. They're a mainline school. We've already been through that. But yeah,
30
like
West or 30 East.
yeah, 30 East. I think a lot of it is just rage baiting. I think they fabricate some of these stories to try to get clicks and to try to get viewership and try to get people talking, right? So like and honestly, it seems like the way the Philadelphia media is and the way the Philadelphia fans are, the more outlandish the take, the more feedback and more newsworthy it is, right? So it's like the craziest takes is what people are like, "Oh, there's no way," and it gets 1,000 views. But the ones that are actually accurate and like could actually happen, people are like,
Newsworthy?
"Ah, that'll never happen." Yeah, that'll never happen, right? But it's like the AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts got into a fist fight in the locker room. No, they didn't. They
Well,
don't
my
even
sources
they're not
said.
even near. Yeah, my sources said that. You know, like even Elliot Shore Parks came on like when they were talking about the whole Jalen and AJ thing. They're like, "Oh, well, the vibes in the locker room this week were great. AJ was laughing. They were playing music and doing all." So throughout the whole season, they didn't play music in the locker room at all, at
No,
all.
we
They
got to
wait
turn
till that
music
week.
on today.
Yeah, we got to turn music on. The reporters will be here. Like, come on, man. Like, it just seems like they say sometimes what everybody wants to hear, and like if there's any doubt in your mind that something's going on, they're gonna be like, all right, I got to go with that doubt and just like make sure everybody
Yep.
talks about it. And it's just it gets old sometimes. It really does.
And
And
then,
I think,
yeah.
God,
Well, no, I was going to say, and then people who don't know any better be like, oh my God, the Eagles are falling apart. Like everything's going to shit. Like what's going on?
right. And then like you got guys like Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, Jalen, AJ, all these guys. You have to come back in and try to play damage control at that point and answer a lot of questions instead of answering like real questions that you should be getting asked. You have to answer
Yeah.
questions about all these rumors of stuff that didn't even happen. And that's what sucks. And that's why coaches don't want to come here sometimes. That's why players don't want to come here sometimes because they don't want to deal with that shit. They don't want to deal with it. You know.
No, I
And I
wouldn't.
said this before, and you and I talked about it. If I'm Brian Daboll, of course I want to go to Tennessee, so I don't have to deal with the Philadelphia media. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm
I
I'm an
just came from
offensive
New York.
coordinator, right? I don't want to deal with any mainstream media fabricating things. I'm not dealing with that. So, that's what. cracked me up when people were like, "Oh, they're turning down the Eagles." No, they're not. They're turning down the media. They're turning
They're
down that
turning
shit.
down you.
Yes, they don't wanna deal with you, picking apart their every move. "Oh my god, he didn't get cream cheese on his bagel. What kind of crazy person is this?" Like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh, he didn't get whiz on his cheesesteak. He's a
Yeah, yeah.
communist.
He didn't ask for it the right way. Get him out of here. He's the
Yeah.
worst. Like, come on, man. Just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But I think, and not to get on a soapbox here, but I think it's indicative of what's happening just in our country as a whole with all media, all news. Like everything is just this far left take, this far right take. And like the truth is somewhere in the middle. Was there probably some bad tension between AJ and Jalen for some reason? Absolutely. Was it as bad as this side or this side? Probably not. But
No.
some tension doesn't sell and get you clicks the way that they were ready to punch each other in the face.
Right, well, and that's what we talked about, right? So, like, yeah, there was obviously some tension, and then when you see them take a picture together, oh, Jalen's not smiling. He didn't wanna be around
Right.
AJ in that picture. Like, what? Like, how can you just assume that from looking at a photo? Like, you don't know what was happening, and that was, like, always the thing with the media posting those still shots of like, "Oh, Jalen missed a wide open AJ." Show the rest of the play. Show the rest of the play. Like, you didn't see the guy of like, you conveniently cropped the photo of
Oh,
showing the
yeah.
guy that came in without one person blocking him that was getting ready to drill Jalen. You don't show that in the picture. You just show that AJ was wide open and Jalen missed it, you know? Like, that's
Doesn't
what you
fit the
show.
narrative. Doesn't fit
Exactly.
the
So
narrative.
that's exactly what it is. I feel like some of these guys on these radio shows, they have their team meetings and they're like, "All right, what are we going to drum up this week? And look, this is what we got to go every day. We got to fit this narrative. We got to bring it up every day." And it's clear as day. The afternoon show, man. I got to give my boy Ike a little grief. He used to be the guy that I could rely on for staying
The voice of
positive
reason.
and being the voice of reason. That was his thing. He would come out and say that, "I'm the voice of reason." Now he's falling into the trap. He's falling into the trap, man. He's being a
He is.
negative Nancy. He's he's saying that they're trading AJ. It's a foregone conclusion, all this other stuff. I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know if Spike's a bad influence or if he's just trying to rage bait too, but man, it's a damn shame. It's a damn
I don't
shame.
know.
What happened to the
97.5.
what happened yeah, right?
97.5 is starting to
What
creep up on
what
him a little
happened
bit, I
but
guess.
what happened to the Ike we grew up on? You know what I mean? Like, what happened to the Ike we grew up on? It's not the same
Hey,
guy
keep in
anymore.
mind, Ike also was the guy that got Jeremiah Trotter thrown out of that first game in Atlanta
Rage
after they
baiter.
lost the
Yeah, he
Super
rage
Bowl.
baited him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's
So
in his DNA.
he's a old school. Yeah, he's an old school rage baiter. Yep. Yep. That's a good point. That's a good point.
All
That's still
right. So,
one of my favorite sound bites is when they're like, "Oh, they're really going after Ike Reese
yeah.
now."
Poor Ike. All right. So it is free agency week. Monday starts legal tampering, which might be the absolute dumbest thing I've ever heard because, by definition, tampering is illegal. Like, I hate it. Why don't you just call it what the NBA does? Free agency period is open. You can't sign players until the new league deal. Like, the NFL always has to outsmart, and I don't know why. It's one of those things that just irks me. You can't tamper legally. Like, it's just inherently impossible.
Yeah, here's what I don't understand. Because on Monday, you're gonna get reports from Schefter and everything else saying this person agreed to the deal with this team. Well, then how is that tampering? That's literally free agency. It's
Right.
just they can't
It's
officially sign the contract until Wednesday. Like,
exactly.
that's all it is. So I never understood it either. I don't know why they call it that, but yeah, that starts on Monday, and I guarantee you Monday is just going to be a complete shitstorm of a
Oh,
whole bunch of players going everywhere, going
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, technically, the tampering period was last week during the combine. Just,
Yes.
it was happening. It's just, we're not going to talk about it because it's the combine.
Yeah, we're not like you're so and so's agent. I know you're so and so's agent, but as long as I don't say the name of your player, it's not tampering. We're just
Right.
talking and speaking freely at this point. And that's how they get around it. You
Yeah.
know? Like because they asked Mike Vrabel about AJ Brown at the combine. Literally asked him about AJ Brown. He goes, "Well, AJ and I are friends. You know, like we help
We
each
text
other."
all the time.
Exactly, like they were talking about that, and I'm like, and then the Philly media was like, "Oh, oh, they were tampering. They were clearly talking. How does that mean that they weren't talking throughout the season when things were going bad?" I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, how can
They
you go back
probably
and prove
were.
it?" They probably were, yes, but, like, how many times can you say that, like, I don't know, when you I'm trying to think of something here, but, like, some of these guys texted Andy Reid when he was in Kansas City. I guarantee you some of that happened, but, like,
100%.
what are you gonna do? You know? Like, what are you gonna do? So, I don't know, man. I just I think the word tampering just bothers me. I think it's dumb and, like, I just if Sirianni moves on to another team and he has a close relationship with Jalen, so then he can't talk to Jalen until the offseason? But then technically he can't talk to him in the offseason because then it's still tampering because 'cause they're both
Right.
under contract. So, like,
I'll see you when you retire.
right, I can't talk to you for the next 15 years? It's just dumb, man. It's absolutely dumb.
All right. Anyway, so I don't even know where to start with this. I, I guess I'll start with this. How much do you think, obviously from an offensive standpoint, they have needs. They have all those new guys in. So obviously whoever they pick up, whether it's a draft or free agency, they're going to fit into that system. What do you do? Because they only have 3 defensive linemen under contract.
Yep.
Vic Fangio has flirted with retiring the past 2 years. If you're Howie, you don't know who's gonna be available next year. You don't know what kinda system they run. How do you handle signing guys? Do you go short-term deals till you know what Vic's gonna do? Do you just go after guys that can play in multiple systems? Which I feel like most guys should be able to do that unless you're Bryce Huff, but,
Yeah.
like, how how do you handle that?
Well, I got an interesting take on this. So I know that we thought it was our guy that went to Dallas to be the defensive coordinator. There was the defensive coordinator in waiting, right? What if it's not? What if it's Clint Hurt?
Ooh,
What if he's the defensive coordinator in waiting? Because what he does with that defensive line fits perfectly with Vic Fangio's scheme, right? Vic Fangio can't do the creative stuff with the linebackers in the secondary if that defensive line isn't doing what they need to do. So
true.
I had an interesting thought about it, and you know, he didn't go anywhere. I'm sure he was trying to like somebody was trying to poach him to be something. Maybe
I
not
think he had
defensive
an
coordinator.
interview. I
Yeah,
forget where. I
right, but
think he had an interview.
so maybe it was one of these things where Vic was like, "You already let my one guy go to Dallas. Don't let Clint leave too." Maybe they ponied up and gave him a little bit of more dough, and we're like, "All right, we're gonna do this," because honestly, and I kind of got that take when they interviewed Howie about it, and he said the Philadelphia, the way the Eagles have been always been built while he was there was offensive and defensive line. So he was like, we're always going to look in the draft to strengthen the lines. We're always going to look in the draft. We're always going to look in the draft. We're always going to look in the draft. And like he talked about the defensive line a lot, right? He talked about guys trying to um, bring them back, trying to sign them, trying to restructure, do whatever he needs to do. So I think they're gonna go after some defensive linemen for sure, but I think honestly we gotta start looking at that, and it may not be Vic, staying long term, but if he has Clint stepping in for him, similar style
That makes
defense,
sense.
man. It's not like Clint Hurt's gonna come in and do the wide 9 like, our boy Juan Castillo, who was a offensive line coach, you know what I mean?
Jim Washburn.
Jim Washburn wide 9, you know? So, but yeah, I'm anxious to see what happens with the defensive line because look, are they gonna pony up the money for Jalen Phillips? I don't know. I don't know. Is
I
it worth it?
so let's start with Jalen then. I think what they're gonna do, they're probably saying, "Here's what we're gonna offer you. Go test the market. Let us know." You know what I mean? But I'm anxious to see if anybody's going to give him. I mean, likely they probably will, but I've been hearing a lot of people say that he's their top priority. So I don't know of how he's going to overpay for him, knowing that you're going to have the extensions for Jordan Davis at the very least, possibly Jalen Carter, maybe Nolan Smith.
Yep, yep. And look, Trey Hendrickson's a free agent. They're not tagging him in Cincinnati, so he's gonna be a free agent. So they were linked to potentially trading for him last year. So
Right.
that's a name that's out there. Obviously, the name that everybody's high on and everybody wants is Max Crosby, right? Is that something that could possibly work? I don't know. I mean, the Raiders are probably going to want an arm and a leg for that, and ideally, yeah, it would be like I'll trade AJ for Max Crosby straight up. But AJ doesn't want to go to Vegas, and
No.
you know, here's the thing though: they got the number one overall pick. They're going to draft a quarterback. They're probably going to draft Mendoza. Mendoza throwing to AJ looks a lot better than Mendoza throwing to whoever the hell they have right now.
Who
So
do they have? Yeah.
your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. So I do like that. I did want to throw out a couple names on the edge for you though. That let's say defensive line, like interior defensive linemen, are I think easier to get than edge rushers, right? So I went
Yes.
strictly with edge, and one name that I'll throw out last can do like what um, Brandon Graham did last year. He can play interior or exterior, but couple interesting names. Obviously, we'll start with a guy that Vic knows in and out. Had him in Miami, Bradley Chubb. Eagles were linked to trading for him. Bradley Chubb's available. He's a free agent. If they can get a discount on him, I wouldn't mind taking a swing and bringing him in.
Do you think he's one of those guys that would come in for like a 1 year prove it deal?
I think so.
Or
I
do
think he would probably come in 1 year, 10 million, something like that. 1 year, 9 million, something like that on a
yeah.
prove it deal, but make it incentive based too, right? You play
Yeah.
X amount of snaps because he's injury prone, right? He had some injuries, similar to Jalen Phillips, right? So it's you get X amount of snaps, you might get this type of bonus. You get X amount of sacks, you get this type of bonus. Do something like that. Another name to throw out there, Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack's a free agent. Wouldn't mind taking a run at him too, because he was still putting up some
He was.
pressures. He was still putting up some numbers, and again, make it incentive based, right? Don't overpay. You also have Kayvon Chason. He's a free agent. Again, low risk, high reward. I think the motor's there. He can obviously rush. He can play the run too, which is good. The thing here's the guy I want to throw out there, and I could see this being a Howie type of free agent signing. Draymond Jones from Baltimore. He can play
I could
edge
see that.
and he can play interior, and he plays a similar style defense that the Eagles play in Baltimore, right? So it's very similar styles with the linebackers, with the secondary, that front four getting pressure, like very similar. And I don't think it'll cost that much. I really don't. I think they could probably get him on like a 2 year, like $17 million deal with some incentives in there. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And then obviously that allows you the flexibility to restructure some of the guys that you have.
Yeah. I mean, and obviously the three that are under contract doesn't include Brandon Graham, who likely will be back again. Which
Yeah.
I mean, if he comes back in with a full offseason, I thought he played well last year once he got into game shape. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I mean, you got what? You got Carter, uh, Davis, and
Davis
Ajomo.
and oh, that's right. Well, Nolan Smith's still under contract too.
Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt.
So I don't know where I got my number 3 from.
You
I
got
guess
three
defensive line.
interior. Yeah,
Interior,
defensive
yeah.
linemen, three
Interior.
interior guys. Yeah, you only have three. Well, you technically have four because you got the dude that you drafted last year that played like a half a snap all year. Big
Mr.
white guy.
Robinson?
Yeah, Mr. Robinson. So hopefully he
Ty,
can figure
where
out
are you?
something. Ty, yeah. I mean he was well touted as a third round pick. Everybody thought he was going to come in, and he barely played. So
He was
you
on
know,
the practice squad most of the year.
yep, yep. Healthy scratch. Healthy scratch.
So I mean, I don't think there's any way that the defensive line is not top priority for Howie in any way. Like I think that's because truthfully, you're not going to get an offensive lineman. a, a, you still need to draft guys. You might get like a Mekhi Becton, um, but I'll throw a name out for you too for offensive line when we get there. But I think those are guys you draft.
Yep.
Um, so, but like going back then to the offensive line, I would give Becton another chance. But then again, without um, Stoutland here, will it have the same impact having a new guy?
I don't think it'll matter because he already learned and he already played with this offensive line, right? So like they all know
True.
each other's tendencies and they won, right? And the other name I wanted to throw out there was Isaac Sayamalu. He's
That's
a
the guy
free
I
agent.
was going to throw out to you
Yep.
too.
So bring Isaac back, bring him back. Let's run it back with him. And look, I agree with you, man. There's a lot of free agent like studs out there, like Tyler Lindblom's a free agent, but they're not going to overpay for an offensive lineman when you have Landon Dickerson, Jordan
Right.
Mailata, and Lane Johnson already making like pretty top dollar. And are you going to re-sign Cam Jurgens? Like, are you going to up him or is he done? Like, what are you going to do? Because look, if you're looking to move on from Cam Jurgens, then maybe you take a run at Tyler Lindblom because he's a center, right? He's a Pro Bowl center. Then maybe you take a run at him, should solidify that offensive line a little more. But we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen.
Don't forget though, you still got my boy Willie out there who plays center.
You do. You do. Well, who's the other guy that they Drew Kendall. Drew Kendall, who they
Yeah,
drafted as a center from Iowa, I think, right? Or something like that.
one of
But
those Big
he
Ten
was
schools.
banged
Yeah,
up. Yeah, he was banged up last year. So I think he was on IR for most of the year and then he got healthy and I think he played a little bit in some of those games where we lost some guys. But yeah, I mean, I think the priority list needs to be defensive line, offensive line in the draft, and then, tight end. We don't have a
yeah,
tight end under contract right now.
we
We don't
don't.
have one.
And Dallas is gone. Like I think it's just a foregone conclusion, and good for him. I just don't think with the way the team has needs right now, they're going to be able to give him a contract because they would have done it last year if they really
Yep.
wanted him long term.
Yep. So I'll throw two names out there, and then I'm going to throw a wild card out there to that everybody, I guarantee you, everybody forgot about. So Zach Ertz, obviously coming back from his ACL injury, free agent, right? I think he's a restricted free agent, so Washington gets a chance to match
To
anything.
match.
I'd bring him back as long as we get somebody young in the draft, right? Because
Yeah,
the Eagles have been linked to Sadiq from Oregon. If we get that dude, I don't care who
yeah,
else we bring in because that dude's a freak, right? Um, David Njoku, I saw
I like
that.
him.
Saw he was a free
Yeah,
agent. I think he would fit very well in this offense. One name that I need to remind people of because he got hurt last year in training camp and never played again. Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson is 6'5", 260.
forgot
Johnny
about
Wilson
Johnny
could,
Wilson.
if I'm Johnny Wilson, I am calling Jeff Stoutland and saying, yo, I need to learn how to run block because I want to go out for tight end. I want to play tight end. I want to learn how to run block. If you can't train me, tell me somebody that can train me, and I want to work with them on the whole off season. I want to learn how to run block because he can catch, he can run routes. He needs to learn how to run block a little better. He could be their homegrown tight end, and I guarantee you that would probably extend his career too.
And he was playing well before he got hurt. I actually,
Yep.
you're right. I completely forgot about him.
Yep. I'm telling you, man, Johnny Wilson is he's a hidden gem because of his size and his hands. Dude can
Yeah,
catch. He can catch and he can go up for those jump balls. So, perfect. And he can do the stuff that they've just been doing with Dallas Goddard in the red zone with like those shovel passes and stuff like that.
yeah.
Johnny Wilson can do that. So if he's going to be the fifth wide receiver on the team, I'd rather him transition to be number one and number two tight end because he's already like I'd throw him in there and say he's better than Calcaterra was.
Oh, hands down. And I mean, they were talking about having him be a tight end, so I could see
Yep,
it.
yep, yep. That would be my take on tight end. So
Yeah,
and
I,
then we have the you also have Isaiah Like. Now
But
he's injury
I don't.
prone.
But they got a new coach coming in. I mean, Andrews is getting up there. They might try
Yep,
to keep him.
they might.
Um,
Yeah.
what you call it in Tampa is a free agent too. Otten.
So is the dude from Tennessee, Chig Okonkwo.
Hmm.
From a fantasy perspective, he had some solid games last year. He had some solid games,
He did.
but
But no, I think they make a run at Njoku and then draft somebody.
yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And look, if they end up, they're not. The problem is I don't see Howie wasting that 23rd overall pick on a tight end. And
No,
I say waste because to Howie that would be a waste. That's overvaluing the tight end position, right? Now maybe he sees it differently, especially if they move off of AJ and they trade AJ and they need another offensive weapon. And if they look at the draft and see that offensive linemen are pretty deep in this draft and they can get them in the second, third, and fourth round where they have some extra picks, maybe, maybe that's what they do. You know,
I could see that too. What about cornerback? We don't have anybody to play on the other side of Q right now.
I know, I know. Um, I think they're going to look in the draft for a cornerback for sure,
They should.
but they're definitely they're gonna try to get somebody on a veteran deal. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Do
There's a
you
lot out
think
there.
there are like so? Here's a name for you. And his brother's having the worst 2026 ever at this point after the news that came out today. But would you take a look and kick the tires on a Trayvon Diggs?
Here's my take. Depends on if you keep AJ or not. Because if you get rid of AJ, sure, kick the tires on him because then you freed up your diva space in the locker room, right? But if
Great
you
point.
keep AJ, I don't think the two can coexist. I don't think they can because I've talked to you've seen Ben from like Clashing Conferences. I talked to him about this and he was like, "Oh, I heard rumors that the Patriots might trade for AJ, but they're gonna keep Diggs." And I'm like, "Dude, there's no possible way those two could ever coexist in the
No,
same locker room. They're two of the same. Like the New
right.
England Foxborough would spontaneously combust
It
with
would. That wouldn't be
diva
a bad thing,
actions.
though. Wouldn't be a
No,
bad
no,
thing.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. But yeah, I would kick the tires on it for sure and see what's available, see if he can come in and be serviceable and kind of keep his shit under wraps, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I still think they're going after a young guy too. But the other guy that I talked about him last year that I'm still surprised he must be really hurt or must have been really hurt, but would be a good feel good story. A vet to come in, already has Eagles ties, and could help Q, Coop, and whoever else they draft is Mr. Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely be making a phone call and seeing what's doing there. But like, you and I talked about this before when we got some of these guys mid-season. You lose a step as a cornerback, you're done. Like
Right.
that's it. That's what happened to you know, the guy that we
Mr.
we won't
Bradbury.
mention. Yeah, I was gonna say we won't mention his last name, but yeah,
James.
lost.
Sorry, James.
Yeah, lost a step, and that was it. His career was over. And that's just how he did get a Super Bowl ring though because he was on the 24 team.
He
He
did.
didn't play. He didn't play, but
But so I was looking at the list earlier today. All the guys that are free agents, even the like a guy like Jalen Watson, they're like hit or miss. So does it help them out playing with Q, or do these guys with question marks that may have lost a step, like James, does that hurt them because teams are going to go after them and attack them? Would they be better off drafting a guy and bringing a Dory Jackson back?
I think that may be the more likely scenario is they bring Adoree Jackson back and they draft somebody and then they rotate them around. I can also see them kind of solidifying the safety position, and I hate to say this, but probably that could also mean taking another run of CJ GJ. potentially bringing him back, especially if
Third time's
Reed's
a
gone.
charm.
Well, especially if Reed's gone because you're not gonna pay Reed 15 to $20 million a year, but somebody's gonna overpay him. Somebody's gonna give him
Yeah,
3 years, 50 million, or 3 years, 55 million, something like that. Somebody will overpay him. He was
right.
only making like $5 million a year. It's insane for what he was
I
doing
don't
back
know how.
there. Like
Yeah,
they got him on the cheap. They got him on the cheap for sure. But and that's another position, right? Because like Coop's the nickel. So who else you gonna put at safety? You got Epps, but like who else you gonna put back there? Like I know we had the rookies, like we had some of these guys last year that got banged up and everything, but like you know, Makuba, like is Makuba gonna be healthy? Can Makuba play? Like is Makuba gonna be ready to step into that role next year? I don't know. I don't know.
should be interesting. I don't envy Howie Roseman right now.
No, no, and look, I did want to throw out three potential wide receivers as free agents, right? Because look, we don't. Dotson's a free agent, so as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Devontae Smith and potentially AJ Brown and Johnny Wilson, right?
Yeah,
So,
and Coop. Don't forget about Coop.
oh yeah, yeah, Cooper, but like Darius Cooper's not a number two, right? He's a number
No.
three, number four
Yeah.
kind of guy, like change of pace kind of guy, right? But so interesting name that's going to be a free agent that I wouldn't mind them kicking the tires on and seeing how much it'll cost. Alec Pierce. I think he would fit next to
He
Devontae
would.
Smith and AJ if they bring AJ back. But if they don't, I think Alec Pierce would fit in there pretty solid, you know, kind of fill that role. Um, they've been linked to Romeo Dobbs because of the Green Bay with Mannion and all that stuff. I don't think I want that. I don't want that. And look,
No.
I for two reasons, right? He's injury prone, but I don't want the Guardian helmet. I don't want the Guardian helmet on our offense.
That's the first thing I thought of when you
Yeah,
said his name.
I don't I don't want the Super Mario DK mode helmet on the team. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to be distracted by that. And honestly, I think it might distract Jalen. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. I don't want it. I don't want it. But an interesting name that I thought was and look, I guarantee you they're gonna try to do everything they can to resign him, but Mr. Rashid Shaheed is a free agent. I wouldn't mind the Eagles taking a stab on him because then they have that punt return slash kick return
Well,
that
that yeah.
clearly has been a struggle for them for a little bit. And it gives them the guy that can open up the defense because Devontae Smith can be your possession guy at that point. That's
Which
if
I
they get
think
rid
he's
of
better suited for that anyway.
I'm right there with you because he's hands and he has great hands and he runs great routes. So, and 99% of the time he catches the ball. Like the few
Right.
times that he's dropped it, we've all looked at each other and go, "Oh my god, Devontae
It's
Smith
a
dropped
drop.
one." Yeah, you know. But
No, I
I
mean,
don't know.
but I think until we know, and something tells me it's not good. We're not going to know Monday
No.
the resolution to the AJ Brown thing. So I think depending on what moves Howie makes, you're going to be able to read the tea leaves and know whether or not he's going to be back. But
Yeah.
if he doesn't go out and go after a wide receiver the first week, I don't think I think AJ's back.
Well, if AJ doesn't get traded before the draft, he's not getting traded because the
Right.
stock value on him is going to drop. Right. Nobody's going to overpay at that point because they can just draft a young receiver. So
Right. And if I was going to say, if I'm the Eagles, though, I want to know like more than before the draft. I think when they got AJ Brown, that kind of fell into Howie's lap. Like I don't know if he was planning on that or not, but
right.
I think you got to know before the draft, well before the draft, so you can kind of update your boards and everything like that. So should
Yep.
be interesting. And then I guess the last thing, it sucks because I really, really like this dude, but there's no room for him on the team, especially away with Jihad played last year, and of course Zach. Is he going to Dallas?
Seems that way. It seems that way. Look, I just hope Reed Blankenship doesn't follow him to Dallas because Reed
I
Blankenship is
Yeah,
linked to going to Dallas too. I hope both of them don't go to Dallas, but with our boy that just went down there to be the defensive coordinator, I mean, they got familiarity. So,
Yeah.
it would crush me, but at the same time, look, I don't want to talk bad about it because he's still technically an Eagle, but like, I mean, I don't think
We're all
Nakobe
thinking
Dean
it.
is gonna he's not gonna blow up the offensive line like what he's done to other teams. He's not gonna blast through Landon Dickerson or
No.
or Jordan Mailata. You know what I mean? Plus, honestly, as much as he's meant to the team, I think Trotter Jr. is ready to step up. I really do.
No, and that's the saving grace for me. And I mean, and I hate to throw this out there too for the same reason, but N'Kobe is kind of injury prone. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Yep.
don't think he's played a full season
Yep.
without
Well,
missing at least a game or two.
at the end of the day, I mean, you looked at it last year. How many we could probably count on one hand the amount of times that Bond, Dean, and Campbell were in the game at the same time. Doesn't happen in Vic Fangio's offense
No,
because you have Cooper playing the nickel, which is essentially your third linebacker, right? And he's better than Campbell and Dean were in coverage. So that's basically what you're
much.
looking at. So I think you by Dean not being there, it doesn't give you the flexibility at linebacker that you had, but at the same time, that tells me if on Monday N'Kobe Dean signs with the Cowboys or signs somewhere, that tells me that Howie then knows that his focus needs to be on the safety and cornerback position because then
Right.
that's the only way Coop can continue to play the nickel and that slot cornerback position if you solidify that secondary, if you get a safety and a cornerback in there. You got to get one of those positions, you got to fill with an established guy. You
I
can't draft both.
yeah. I mean, and looking at the draft, like the free agent list, I'd rather almost draft a safety or sign a safety and draft a corner.
Yeah. Plus, you have Makuba, right? You have Makuba coming back. So maybe Makuba's ready to step in. Maybe he can learn in his second year. Maybe, like, look, I mean, Coop and Q were Pro Bowlers in their second year under Vic Fangio's
Yeah,
defense. I'm not saying Makuba's on that same level, but we know Makuba against the run is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good.
he
So
is. Plus, he's got a nose for the ball, so
he does. He does. And we could use that. We could use that.
always. All right. So, any last thoughts before we wrap up here?
No, look. One thing's for sure. I don't think Howie is complacent. He's not Dombrowski, where we're just going to run it back. He's clearly not going to do that. So
Jalen's
if
not elite.
right, yeah, yeah. You imagine? You imagine? Especially with a Jordan brand shirt that says "Not
Right.
Elite." Oh, that would be pretty dope. I'd probably have to
I'd
buy
buy
that.
it.
Yeah. But I will say this, any Eagles fans out there, don't jump off a cliff, don't jump off the building on Monday if you don't hear any news happening. That doesn't mean that like, things aren't going to take place. It just means that Howie is doing Howie things. Like this is Howie's season. We all
He's in the
say it.
lab.
We all hear it. He's in the lab. You're not going to see Howie again until draft night. You're not going to hear from Howie again until draft night. That's it. He's the mad scientist right now. He's cooking something up like Breaking Bad. That's what he's doing in the lab. You know what I mean? And I'm excited to see what he cooks up. And honestly, I'm with you. If we go out and sign one of these receivers Tuesday, Wednesday, then that tells me that Monday he got a shit ton of phone calls for AJ
Yep.
and somebody's biting on it. Somebody's biting on it and giving him what he wants.
Nope. And I agree. I think it's going to be a slow free agent. The big game names are going to go all next week, and then Howie's going to come in and do Howie things that second week and then looking ahead to the draft. I think that this is probably one of the we'll get more into it in a couple weeks, but I think this is going to be one of the more pivotal drafts in Howie's tenure where you got some glaring holes and glaring needs that you need to fill. I mean, even starting next week with free agency, like I'm anxious
Yeah.
to see how he puts the puzzle together.
Well, hopefully he does what he did after the 23 season. He had glaring holes and he addressed every
Yep.
single one of them. Every single one of them. So, look, whether it's through free agency or the draft, he needs to address what he needs to address. I think he learns from his mistakes, as we all see. We all know that, and I'm excited to see what he does, man, and I'm excited to see what they build around this offense and what they do on the defensive side. It'll be interesting, but like it's a character thing for me. It's a Eagles culture, and I think they're going to bring in a lot of guys in free agency that are culture guys. They're going to
Yep.
bring in a lot of guys that have something to prove, and they want to win, and they know what the culture is in Philadelphia, and that's why they're going to come here. Then and look, they took a chance last year on a lot of guys for 1 year deals, and it didn't pan out as well as they thought it was going to be, right? So I don't think he's going to stop doing that though, because
No,
he hit it out of the park
it
with Jack
has worked.
Vaughn. It has worked. It just didn't work last year, right? And I think he's going to continue to do that, and I think people are going to do like people are going to see that, you know? And it's gonna be fun, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Well, we will hopefully be back in 2 weeks. We're kind of leaving this one open ended, depending on what happens in the next 2 weeks. If Howie does nothing and is focusing on the draft, we probably won't be back. Best way to stay in the loop is subscribe to all of our social media. For me, it's at Philly Jimbo on all of them.
And it's at what am I? At Kmont 38, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes.
At Kyle Mont 38. Kyle Mont 38. That's what I am. It's been a while since I've
Yeah.
had to plug it, you know?
I know. And of course, the YouTube channel. But we will hopefully recap a busy free agent signing period for Howie and then be back then to get you ready for the draft. Hopefully, we're going to get back on a regular every 2 week schedule here as things are going to start heating up for the Birds.
Absolutely. We know you guys missed us. We know you missed us. We've missed
That's all
you
right.
too. We've missed talking about this stuff. And look, last but not least, go Birds. And as always, Dallas sucks.
Always. Oh, real quick, where can everybody find you on a regular basis?
On a regular basis, you can see me on the Clashing Conferences Network. We have an all sports members pod that I host on there. Real fans just bantering back and forth about all sports. You name it, we talk about it. We talked about the Olympics. We talked about curling. We talked about everything, man. It's pretty fun. And then you can catch me every week with my boy Cody, the Big Blue Prophet, as we talk about Kentucky basketball. It's been an up and down season for us. It's been an up and down season for us. So the sports world has not been kind to me in the last couple last couple months. So it's definitely a breath of fresh air to be able to talk about the Eagles and have some positive things to talk about for sure. That's where you
You've
can
still
find
had
me every week.
you've still had a better 2026 than Stephon Diggs, though. I can guarantee you that.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
All right, look for me every weekday. This day in Philly sports history. Go, and this is my shout out for the week or this episode. Go to phillygoat.com. Dude is amazing. I talked about the year when the Phillies changed their names to the Blue Jays temporarily. He's already got a shirt out. The Blue Jay with the Phillies on it. Go hook up my boy Ryan. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery. We'll give you 10% off. But go to
Love
Philly
it.
Goat. They got you covered.
They do. They do. It's awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. I have a shit ton of shirts and
Yeah.
sweatshirts and everything. He's he's my go-to, and I can't wait. He's gonna come out with something soon in like a month, I'm sure, and I'm gonna be like, "Yep, I need to get that. I need to get
Yep.
that."
Oh, that's how I was today. I'm like, I literally just talked about this 4 hours ago. I open up my Instagram and boom, there's a Philadelphia Blue Jays shirt right there.
Yeah.
Philly Goat.
I I
Love it.
gotta do I gotta do a better job this summer of every time I wear a shirt, I gotta take a picture of it and send it to them because I have so many of them. People are like, "Where'd you get your shirt? Where'd you get your shirt?" And I'm like, "Well, it's funny you mentioned that." So I gotta give them free plugs every now and then.
Nice. All right. On that note, we will be back in a few weeks to recap Howie and what he's got cooking up for free agency. But as Kyle said, as we always end, go Birds. Dallas sucks. And help out Stephon Diggs, man. He's going through it right now.
Yeah, yeah, give him some money. Go fund me. GoFundMe.
Go fund me for his baby mamas.
Yeah, all 13.
And we'll leave you on that note. All right,
Stephon
everybody.
Diggs Cromartie.
Go Birds.